This is George Dionne with Metal Express Radio, and I'm here with Todd La Torre. He's the singer of Queensrÿche, but he's promoting his new solo album. How you doing today, Todd?
I'm doing well. Yeah.
Awesome.
Getting my day started with you.
That's how it should be for everybody. If I knew nothing about Todd La Torre's solo music, how would you describe it to me?
I would say that it's melodic. It's, heavy, it kind of more classic, a little more classic heavy metal. It's got thrash. It's got a lot of groove, kind of like Pantera had a lot of groove. Fight had a lot of groove in their music. Yeah, just kind of more along the lines of an old school classic metal album that you don't hear a lot of anymore.
I'd have to agree. The name of the album is Rejoice in the Suffering. It came out on February 5th through Rat Pak Records. This solo album was kind of a long time coming for you?
Yeah, it's something that I've always wanted to do for years and years, and just never really had what I felt was adequate time in one sitting to really focus on the songs. I mean, you'll get ideas, and then maybe we're touring for so much time, and then you come back and you listen to something, you're like, I don't know if that resonates with me still. So stuff that I had before kind of got scrapped, and then when the pandemic hit, Craig and I just hit the ground running because we knew that I was going to be home for an indefinite period of time. So it was perfect to just focus every single day on those songs that we were writing. So yeah, I mean, it's been years and years that I've wanted to do this, and I'm glad that I finally got, the first one finished. So it's been fun.
It's pretty much a two-man band on this album. It's you and Craig Blackwell.
Yep.
Who exactly is Craig Blackwell, and how does he fit into the situation?
Sure. He's a guy that I met in high school, and the first band that I ever joined was his band called Blackwell. And I was a drummer. I was about 14 or 15 years old when I joined that band. And we just became really, really great friends, and, remained friends since then. And he's an awesome guitar player. He's a great songwriter. I mean, we both enjoy the same things about metal together. So, writing this stuff was just effortless. I mean, he's a killer guitar player. His riffs on the record, you can hear, are really unique and original, and not overplaying. He respects and understands space and music, and so a lot of times you hear just a lot of overplaying on records these days, where everybody's trying to just show everything they can do in one song, and to me that just gets really boring. And but I always say this is kind of the record that he and I wanted to make in our 20s. that we never made. We did record a demo tape from a band we were in way back in the day called Infrared. The band never went anywhere. We never got signed to a label or anything, but we played nonstop around the Tampa Bay area here in Florida. So we've written and recorded together through our lives, and but this was like a real serious record that Zeus mixed and mastered. And so finally having a platform now where more people can hear what I'm doing is just like the timing. I wish that this was happening when I was 30 and not 47, but I heard on the radio the other day, better late than pregnant. So so yeah, better late than never.
All right, let's talk about some of the songs you've released so far from the album. Some artists like to talk about what the songs are about. Others leave it over to interpretation. I mean, if you want to talk about them, we can. If not, I understand.
Okay.
Hellbound and Down.
So that song is about kind of walking, like teetering on on maybe something ethical. I love the show American Greed.
Yeah.
Because I always I like street magic. I used to practice cards for years and sleight of hand and like the illusion of like trickery. I always liked something about the ability of something, very genius, what appears to be genius. And then you show how the trick is done, and it's kind of a letdown. And when I watch shows like that, it's like, here's some of these scammers, the brilliant minds, they just go on the wrong side of things, but I appreciate the skillfulness of the cleverness of what they're doing, even though it's totally wrong. It's not cool. It's,
Yeah.
but there's something about that, the criminal mind, that I've always been intrigued by and had a little bit of a fascination with, how people are able to pull off some of these crazy things they do. But that song is about someone doing something like that, and instead of walking the straight and narrow, they take the easy way, and now they're paying a price for it. So it's, we're all, faced with things in life that are, maybe tempting, that aren't the right thing to do. And so it's about, walking that fine line and going over the edge to the wrong side.
Okay. How about the song Dark and Majesty?
That song, I have to remember. Kind of a similar thing. That's has to do with kind of someone's inner demons, and not the chorus kind of exemplifies that. Colors flash and fade away, beyond the black is where I'll be. It's you never know where somebody's head is at, and there's a lot of people suffering from mental illness, and people that are, what you see on the outside isn't always what's on the inside. You can't judge a book by its cover, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. The name of the album, obviously, Crossroads to Insanity. You've also released that as a single, so I'm assuming it's an important song to you.
Oh, well, yeah, I think you meant Rejoice in the Suffering, the title track.
Oh, damn notes.
That's okay. But yeah, Crossroads to Insanity is, like the video. Basically, it's about a guy that becomes institutionalized. He's not crazy. They think that he's crazy, but the institutionalization of him is making him, he's on the cusp of real insanity. So I remember when Craig wrote the music to that and gave it to me, I loved it. And I said, do you have any topics in mind? He's like, yeah, I always thought about, imagine if you were locked up, in an institution, and they were accusing you of being nuts, and you weren't, and they're strapping you down, and you're being belligerent because you're trying to explain that you're not this crazy person, and then that behavior of, hey, wait, looks like you're being combative, and then they dope you up again, and you're just in this trapped nightmare of incarceration when you're really not crazy at all. So that's what that one's about.
I think that's like every Twilight Zone episode of the 1960s.
Yeah.
And the other one you released is Vanguards of the Dawn Wall.
Yeah, so that was inspired by, I remember I was on an airplane, or no, I was at my dentist, and he has these really cool, like a goggles thing that's you can watch movies in if you're at the dentist.
Yeah.
When you're in the chair, he's like, oh, you got to see this. There's a documentary on there called Free Solo. It's killer. You got to see it. I said, okay. So I watched this, and I was blown away by it. And then we were on a plane, and I told Casey, oh, they have Free Solo. I just saw this. You got to watch it. I watched it again. And then I saw one called The Dawn Wall, because I kind of went down this rabbit hole of these extreme rock climbers and, you know, climbing mountains with no ropes or harnesses. And like, so I wrote that song initially about the guys that climbed the Don Wall, but it kind of became a mixture of that and what is it, Alex Hanold, the guy that climbed El Capitan, you know. And then I have some friends that live in the Pacific Northwest that climb, and lo and behold, my friend Elmo, he actually knows and has climbed with Tommy Caldwell, the guy who was in the documentary The Don Wall. So I just was like, you know, I write so much about political things or sociological things, religious things. I want to go somewhere totally different that I would never write about. And so I was inspired by those documentaries and things I was watching. And so I wrote it about kind of the spirit of climbing, you know, and I always thought the Don Wall just sounded really big and cool. And so, yeah, so it's about the spirit of climbing. These guys that do that.
Do you climb yourself or have any aspirations to climb?
I can barely climb out of bed.
I hear that. One of the things I found refreshing about your album is that you kind of, something I didn't expect, you did a little death growl there on One by One.
Yeah.
But that was a good little branch out to kind of distinguish yourself and kind of commit your sound. So is that something that you've always wanted to try in music, or is it something that just, hey, somebody suggested to you, hey, why don't you try this?
I mean, growing up listening to Testament, you know, Chuck Billy, he was never like really a growler in his delivery, but there were things that he would say, like Disciples of the Watch, you know, he'd say, you know, obey or obey to that cross, you know, and the way he said cross, you know, as a teenager, I thought it was so cool sounding. And, you know, and I would practice doing that vocalization because it's not singing, it's just a sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's something I've done for years and years and have gotten fairly good at it. And, you know, I like that stuff. I mean, there's, you know, it's interesting because there's people that are like, you know, oh, I don't care for the growls. I like clean, high singing. And to me, it's like, there's a place for that. And, you know, I'm not so much into the constant high singing. You know, I think it's better when it's more reserved and you do it here and there, because then otherwise it just becomes, okay, he sings high and it doesn't have the impact, you know. But that song, you know, I do like doing that. It's fun. You're not singing notes, so you don't have to worry about being pitchy. And there's just something about a delivery that's just really evil and brutal sounding when you do that. And, you know, there's a lot of vocals, you know, that style out there where I can't understand the words when they're doing a lot of that. But there are some bands like Behemoth, for example, where you can hear the words, even though it's very brutal, you know, it's very scratchy and it's that sound, you can still like make out the words. It's not so distorted and muffled. You know, if you went, you can't understand that. But if you went, yeah, you know, that kind of a sound,
yeah,
and you make words, you can understand, okay, that's what I can totally hear what he's saying. What I'd like to do is, you know, do a mixture, kind of like Opeth,
right?
You know, where he'll go into something really pretty and melodic, and then this heavy part comes in and it's brutal like that. So I would like to do more of that, to be honest. I know people are like, no, don't do that. We just want to hear you sing. But, you know, the whole point of me doing this is to do things that, you know, that I just don't get to do in Queensrÿche. It's my solo stuff. I can do whatever I want, however I want, without any expectation of a history behind me. Like I've put out all these records and I'm defined by those. The Queensrÿche thing is one thing, but on my own, you know, it's really fun. It's super fun to do these different things, whether I put it on a record or don't. It's just a lot of fun to do. So, you know, I love that song One by One, and I was like, it's going on the record no matter what, whether it goes in the main body or as a bonus track. I really want people to hear, because I want to expand the people that listen to what I want to get new people that have no idea who I am, that maybe listen to that kind of music, that are like, wow, I didn't know, okay, the guy for Queensrÿche can do that, had no idea. And so I'm really, you know, kind of hopeful. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. But, you know, I'm hoping that I can get into a whole new audience that, you know, doesn't listen to Queensrÿche. Maybe they listen to heavier stuff, or just have no idea that I have these other versatilities in my voice, because most singers just kind of have one sound, you know.
Yeah.
And that's, although they might be great, to me it's very limiting. There's only so much you could do. And so some people really love it. Oh, give us more of that. And other people are like, if you did any more than that on another record, I wouldn't want it. You know, so it's like, whatever. But, you know, if I said, oh, I'm going to sing like this on this record before it came out, people would have been like, no, don't do that. We like how you sound in Queensrÿche. So I can't win either way, so I just have to do what I enjoy.
Music fans are liars, I'll tell you, because they'll say they wouldn't buy a full album of that, but they'll go listen to it for free.
My ASCAP statements can tell you that. Yeah, it's a tough biz. You know, I honestly hate the business. I don't like it. I don't like the business. I love the art. I like the people that enjoy the shows. But as far as like the music business, I fucking hate it.
I mean, there's not much left of it, really. You're just, you know, honestly, you have to give most of it away for free.
Yeah, you know, when we did the 2013 record, I remember James Barton. He was the producer and engineer on that 2013 album. He's the guy that did Mindcrime and Empire and Promised Land. Anyway, he said your record is a business card to get them to come to a live show. Right. And I thought, wow. I mean, he was right, but I'm thinking, you spent so much time writing lyrics, crafting music, right, getting the arrangements right, all the drum part, everything just right, right? And then, you know, tens of thousands of dollars to make, and then promotion and all this, and then somebody's like, this fucking sucks, and it's like, you know, what do you do? What music have you ever written or created and put yourself out there with, you know, such critique? Or, well, I wouldn't even say it's critiquing. It's just criticism. Yeah. Difference between criticism and critique. But yeah, it's become a joke. I mean, when Napster started, everyone's like, holy crap. And now it's like, you know, the records that we sell, the numbers are, you know, you can't even compare them. And I think they should change the standards. You know, what's considered gold now, what's considered, you know, it's like, unless you're, you know, the cream, just the top sliver, you know, the skimming of the water, you know, those are the bands that are still, maybe they sell 1 million records or many millions of records. But I think now it's like 1,500 streams equals one album purchase. Yeah. Which is like, it's pathetic.
Which is funny is because back in the day, you had the show to sell the album. So now it's the complete opposite.
Right.
But even still, you know, you say that the top tier, I think someone even like Taylor Swift is only doing 50,000 in her opening week. She's not even doing that much either. I think it's just, you're right, the business stinks, but you love the art, you love creating music, and I mean, I'm sure you love the live aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, the live aspect is fun, And the camaraderie with the guys in the band is great because we're always joking and laughing and goofing around, and but it's tough. I mean, if I weren't in Queensrÿche and was able to earn what I earn, I would not be doing this. I wouldn't be in a band trying to survive touring, or I wouldn't do it. It's like, for me, it would be at my age, like at 20, okay, maybe you're full of that ambition and like this big pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. For me, it's not as important, that stuff. The music is important, but the fame and all that kind of stuff, acknowledgement, some notoriety for your abilities is great. But other than that, it's a really hard life, and I see these younger bands doing it, and I love their tenacity for it. But the fact is, most of these bands don't make much, and it's tour buses are expensive, flights are expensive. You pay for that.
Oh yeah.
Promoters don't. You part of that, those air flights and everything else, that comes out of that's all part of what you're getting paid. So you have to be very mindful, and that's why you see so many bands playing so many nights in a week, because every day that you're not playing on the road, that costs you thousands of dollars. It'd be like any business shutting down. Like, oh, okay, we played Monday to, whatever day, and they say, well, we're closing. Like Chick-fil-A, they're not open on Sundays, okay? How much money does that company not earn by closing that one day? Millions. So, relatively, it's just a tough game, man. It's a tough game. And the streaming, I'll meet people and they say, well, you look like you're in a band. Are you in a band? I'll say, yeah, I'm in a band. Did you play around here? I'm like, I don't know, sometimes. And then they'll ask the name of the band, and I'm usually reluctant because I just don't like to go there. But if I say the band, they either know who it is, or they'll say Queensrÿche, Queens, what is it? And I'll say Queensrÿche, and I'll spell it, and they go, are you on Spotify? That's like the first question. Are you on Spotify? I'm like, yeah, the band's on Spotify. And it's just like, that's where we're at today.
Absolutely. I mean, you still have your I think a band like Queensrÿche has the 40 to 55-year-old demographic, which is,
Sure.
The real, people that grew up with the vinyl in their hand and the cassettes in their hand and the artwork. And I mean, I see there's a little bit of that coming back with vinyl, and you're doing the vinyl and you're doing the cassette. I don't know about the cassette, but the vinyl, it appeals to sort of the people that grew up with that stuff. And I think that's definitely in the right direction.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, there's a resurgence in vinyl. It's part of that experience. I don't know your age, but, I'm probably
Close to yours.
Okay, well, I'm probably like the last generation that, grew up, experience going to record stores and thumbing through the titles of the dividers of the CDs and looking at records, and there were posters that you could flip through, and the mom and pop, the small little box, little brick and mortars, they still have that vibe. There's a smell when you walk in, there's music playing, it's a vibe, but now, and that's the other thing is you do spend all this time and money to create something that sonically is proper. And then it gets condensed to like some MP3. And then most people are listening with just normal little earbuds. So they're not getting the real full fidelity of what you spent so much time and the guy mixing and mastering got to get it so balanced and perfect. It's crushed into an MP3. The quality isn't as good. They don't learn the track listing in the order. It's a single here and a single there, and it's all these just little fragments. So they're not getting that full encompassed experience. But yeah, the demographic of, say, Queensrÿche primarily is an older demographic that still likes tangible product, real hard physical copies.
So for something like your solo album, in today's day and age of the way that music is put out, did you necessarily need a record label to put it out, or could you have done it yourself? Or is it just
I could have done it myself. I mean, I recorded Craig and I recorded the album ourselves.
Yeah.
So we didn't pay studios to do that. We did it ourselves, and then we sent everything to Zeus for him to, all the tracks, all the recordings to him to mix and master. I probably could have, you could try to get a distribution deal. Because I'm associated with Queensrÿche and I have a lot of contacts, it's probably easier for me to try to get a distribution deal without a record label under the umbrella of a label. But anybody else, I mean, you could record it, sell direct to consumer. You could buy physical product and keep it in your garage or in your house and ship the stuff out yourself. But then again, there's a lot of money that goes into, getting all the vinyl made, having those contacts with the record, with the place that makes the actual records. CDs are easy, but the plants that make the vinyl, and then all of the marketing expenses. So the guy that put us together, he's an amazing publicist, and he's a seasoned veteran. He knows everybody. That's a huge asset. So there are things that record labels are going to give you an upper hand on. But at the end of the day, a lot of outside of this, all of your marketing is still, online. People see stuff online. You want to purchase a banner on a website that people frequent, that's just advertising dollars. So you can do it. I don't think you need a record label. Record labels aren't giving you tour support, so I'm not going to sign some shitty record deal where they own me forever and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that was, Rat Pak has done a killer job with this. They're a really great label to work with. It's very simple and streamlined, and I'm not dealing with 10 different departments and all these different reps. And I call the owner on the phone and we talk. We bullshit all the time on the phone anyway. But when a decision needs to be made, we jump on a call and we make the decision, and that's done, and we move on. And he's takes a lot of pride in the packaging and the customer care. And if people get something that's damaged or not right, they're really great to rectify the situation. And it's a small label, but they're very effective and take a lot of pride in what they do. So I'm super happy to have done this with Rat Pak.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, you appeared on Jason Bieler's album. How do you know Jason?
I met Jason on one of the Monsters of Rock cruises. Mm-hmm. And I'm a huge Saigon Kick fan, and he was, he loves Queensrÿche, and he's a really funny guy, and we just connected and hit it off really, really well, and we became friends. And when we go on tour, if we're in his neck of the woods, we'll go out to dinner together, or we'll get together. And he asked, did I want to do something on the record, and I said, yeah. He goes, do you want to play drums? I was like, yeah, I'd rather play drums than sing. So on whatever you have. So he gave me a few. I actually played drums to a few things, but those are the songs didn't make the record. But the one song that I did play drums on made the record, and he put that out as the first single. And yeah, that's how I know Jason, from one of those cruises, and we just been friends ever since.
Yeah, excellent. He is a funny guy. I interviewed him. Some things I didn't know when to take him seriously and when not to take him seriously.
He's really funny. he's got a great sense of humor.
I saw on social media that you're working on your fourth Queensrÿche album.
Yeah, we're working on the album. We are doing songwriting now, and Michael came down, and our producer Zeus came down. Casey lives here in Tampa, so we've got I don't know. I think on this last batch, probably close to 20 songs, 20 song ideas, like a lot of stuff, a lot of materials there.
Yeah.
Eddie's got another handful of songs that doesn't even include, Eddie's. And so we've got a ton of material. So I've got a lot of work ahead of me right now to start writing lyrics and coming up with melodies for all these songs that we've worked on. So yeah, that's Queensrÿche's doing great, and excited to do record number 4.
For anybody that hasn't seen you with Queensrÿche, or I guess doubt you in Queensrÿche, I saw you guys on the last tour, the Verdict tour.
Okay.
And prior to that, I saw Queensrÿche during the Tribe tour. I actually walked out of the Tribe tour. It was so boring. And when I saw you guys, I want to say it was 18 or 19. The years kind of blend together now. You guys killed it. You killed it. You brought back some of the old songs that aren't really played live. I think seeing you guys live and you fronting the band live really gives a whole new dimension to the studio albums that you guys have done together.
Oh yeah. Well, you learn about each other, and when you're playing, and you talk after the show about certain things, or somebody has, they're warming up and they're like, hey, check out this idea. It just makes writing more easy, more comfortable, because you understand kind of their approach to songwriting, and it's very comfortable. We have a really good time, and I think that kind of shows in the live show. Like you're saying, you walked out of the show. I mean, there was a lot of talk about people saying, oh, it just looks like they're just kind of going through the motions, and then when I joined the band, it was like, oh, they look like they're actually into this again and having fun. And, cause it's not the Todd show, it's everybody, I'm joining them. They're not joining me. I'm joining them. This is not my band. I'm part of the band, and it's a complete full unit. And, they just have fun again. And we goof around on stage all the time. I remember when I broke my hand, here's a funny inside story. When I broke my hand and I was in a cast, and I couldn't carry my bag. It was like hard to lift in the overhead because I had this cast on. And so they would do medical pre-board. So I would say, Casey, can you grab my bag? Because I need help putting it over the thing. I can't do it with one hand. So he would help me. And then Eddie would go, when I would go up to medical pre-board, he would see me board first. And then I was reduced to a splint. And it wasn't the cast. And, I could do my hand, but I had to still occasionally keep the splint on. I would still board early. And Eddie would go, he calls me LT. He would go, LT. He'd go, really? And he would hold his hand like, you really have to board early? And there's times I have photographs on my phone where I'll look over and he'll be riding on the low E string, and then he'll have his other hand like this. And he'll make fun of me, and I'll look over and Eddie will just be like that. It's an inside joke that, people wouldn't know about. And then we start laughing on stage, or, on Take Hold of the Flame, I'll say, we are the strong, the youth united. And I'll get right in front of his face and do that. And he'll like, away. And, we just crack up and have a good time. And I think that makes the writing process just fun, because it's okay to say, I don't like that. Try this. And your feelings aren't hurt because we're friends. And, it's been an awesome experience and journey. And, I'm excited to see what the next record's going to sound like. Because right now it's just a bunch of music with no vocals or anything. And that's going to shape how they change. And then once they finally make the record and you go back and you listen to the demo, you're like, oh, remember how it used to do that? It changes to the finished thing. So, I'm going to work really, really hard to get some big hooks and some good choruses, and, things that things that I think the song should have, and things that the fans enjoy. If you look at the choruses, like, I don't believe in love, or London. It's just a London, London. It's not a bunch of words. It's just very effective choruses. So those are things that I'm working on, and we all work together on it. But that's kind of what my month looks like until we join up again for another session. Is I've got a ton of material to start writing and recording vocal ideas for.
Sounds great.
Yeah, man.
Prior to Queensrÿche, you were in Crimson Glory briefly. I just had one question about that. Yeah. Was there ever any discussion about having to wear the silver mask when you performed?
Well, they never did it again, and they were really the first band to do it. Yeah. Now Slipknot does it. There's a million bands that wear masks and stuff on their face. Back then, they were like, maybe they were criticized for it. Kiss wore makeup. Peter Gabriel did have a mask, but the band, Genesis weren't wearing all masks. So, I actually did wear the mask for I think definitely the song Lost Reflection. And then sometimes I would carry that into like the Lonely or something, where when you come out with the mask on, to those fans, it's like, it's the holy grail. I mean, they're like, oh, the mask, they love it. And it was really cool because they never brought the masks back. And then there was discussions like, it would be really cool as if we let Todd, have him sing Lost Reflection, because that was never sung outside of Midnight doing it, the same.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, it looks a little funny, if I see myself now wearing the mask, it's like, but it's the history behind it and what the psychological nostalgia and thing that it brought to that live, those performances live on that anniversary tour. We knew that was going to be like a home run when you come out with that on, and it was people, they really liked it. So, but as much shit as they catch for wearing the masks, again, they were as far as I can find, they are the first band in that, spotlight to wear full face coverings. And,
yeah.
And now, like I say, Slipknot made a career on it.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, you got to be known for something. That's how I know them.
Well, yeah, and they've interviewed and said this differentiated us from all the other bands that had long hair, leather pants. What made us different was, they didn't know what our faces looked like. It was more on the music, and then if they saw us, we all had masks on. So they liked that mystery behind who are these guys. I mean, Ghost does it. They all wear masks. They're not original in doing that, but but it is effective, and so yeah.
So what do you think touring's going to look like when everything clears up here?
I don't know, man. I mean, until herd immunity is reached and it's safe to be around people without, we won't be doing meet and greets until that happens.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably going to be a good year before we decide we feel comfortable meeting people. I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm terribly far off. We'll see. I mean, we're only in March, so yeah, probably a year. We don't have that many shows on the books. Most of them have been canceled or rescheduled, rather. I don't feel comfortable right now being close to the audience. I don't feel comfortable inside of a space performing with hundreds of people singing, and it makes me cringe.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll get right up front and maybe you'll hand the mic to them and let them go, take, hold. I don't even like that anyway because of germs. And if I get sick, it's a problem. But all those little things, the high fives and then going like that, just you can't, it's not a joke. And, part of the fun is some of that camaraderie backstage with the other bands, or you've got friends that are, you're playing in that area, and there's after show stuff. And, as far as I feel, we'll show up, we'll be isolated, we'll get on stage, we'll play the gig, we get off stage, we put our masks on, and we go back to our rooms or our trailer or whatever we have to do. And there's not going to be a lot of hanging out, in my opinion. I think it's going to be very different.
Yeah, we'll definitely see for sure in the next year or so what it's all going to look like. I mean, I think people are clamoring for live music because they're all stuck at home looking at a screen or listening to their phones or whatever. But
totally, yeah, it'll be exciting because people will be like, "Yes, live music again," but it will definitely be a different experience for everybody. So.
For sure. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with Metal Express today.
Thank you, George.